Okay, so if you can hear me, that's terrific. I'm just checking in on the YouTube here. Perfect. Okay. I'm assuming everything's working for everyone. Do I recommend a lip exfoliant? I actually don't. I'm going to talk about sensitive skin off the cuff. It's just been something that's been on my mind lately. I don't actually know where everybody else stands on the lip exfoliation thing. I know a lot of people are pro it. There are ways to perhaps do it. But for me, I guess I think I'm going to plant my flag. I just think it doesn't make a lot of sense because most of the, if not all of the peeliness, the flakiness on lips is because of damage or irritation of some sort or overly dry lips. I mean, the extreme of this is Accutane. And we don't have a stratum corneum on the lips. We don't have that layer of dead skin that when we exfoliate, that's one of the things we're targeting. I don't think the logic is there for me. And I think just committing to heavy hydration is the way to go. It takes some time to get lips back under control. Believe me, I struggle with that, especially in the winter. But that's that. Okay. So yeah, I see some of these questions. Thank you so much. Always, thank you so much for the questions. I'm just so thankful for interacting with you. I say this every video, and I'm going to say it again. Last time I made a video, I let the live chat be replayed also, and I was watching it back, and I was like, my goodness, there are so many more questions than what I see. So I'm sorry again if I don't see your question, if I don't get to your question. Sometimes there's a filter that I think is necessary to have on, and sometimes some questions do get filtered out. But I do try to get to as many as I can. Also, just a little housekeeping stuff too. So I think Dr. Shaw talked about this when he was doing a live with someone else. He is eventually going to be moving, unfortunately, here midsummer. So we're like creatively trying to think of ways that we can keep everything going. We'll continue to shoot videos together to some extent. What I think we're going to be doing is creating some sub-channels here soon. So that way we can keep getting content out to you all together and then eventually separately. So please help support us in that. I mean, it's so scary to like rebuild something from scratch or build a whole new arm of something. But he and I are trying to brainstorm and figure out how we can continue to do this together for you and separately as life kind of happens. So we'll be around for quite a bit while more, but keep your eyes open for some sub channels. I can't afford him. Shamar said, give him a raise so he can stay. No one can afford him. He's too good. But anyway, so just please help us. Thank you so much for all of that, though. And there will probably be some new sub channels popping up here soon, just so we can continue to do all this together and together with you. All right. I know. So that's one of my saddest things. So like, am I okay? I'm also very sad about it. I'm sure he is too. But like, I think the greatest joy, and I say this so often, is to be able to share joy with others. And that's been one of my favorite experiences on social media. And I know I'm kind of like getting sidetracked and down a rabbit hole. But to be honest, like one of the most amazing experiences of this is with doing it with a good friend, doing it with Dr. Shaw and like sharing this with him. It just only amplified the magnitude of the journey. And to do this with you, to interact with you all, it just takes everything to a whole nother level. So anyway, so sensitive skincare, and then after I do a little rant on sensitive skin, I will flip back over to the comments. So sensitive skin, this may be one of the first full videos I put together because I think it's such an important topic. I think we all have sensitive areas of our skin. I think almost everybody has some sort of sensitive area, with your eyelid or the area here periocularly. But some people just have sensitive skin, and there are really a couple different reasons for this. Either the skin barrier is not intact or not as functional as, let's say, the standard individual. So conditions like this would, of course, eczema. Eczema is a prototypical condition where there's no one, I would say no one, but there's maybe no one with more sensitive skin than those with eczema, because the skin barrier is not intact. The structural proteins aren't made from the ground up, and things that normally may not irritate an intact skin barrier are going to irritate someone with eczema or atopic dermatitis. So one is the skin barrier, and then two is actually this baseline inflammation. So there are a lot of conditions where there's just smoldering inflammation in the skin. And again, eczema and atopic dermatitis is one of them. A specific arm of the immune system in eczema is just hyperactive. And rosacea is another condition. And I talk about the sensitive skin of rosacea all the time. Rosacea is another condition where specific people with specific subsets of rosacea are extremely sensitive. And not only is it because the skin barrier is a little disrupted from the inflammation, but there's always a smoldering inflammation. And so then we have like this whole subset of skincare and ingredients that people miss out on, can't use because their skin can't tolerate it. So I'm just going to go through some quick snippets. And I guess secret out here, a little secret out. My wife actually has super sensitive skin. Super sensitive skin. She has erythrometallic rosacea, and she cannot tolerate a retinol of any kind. Can't tolerate over-the-counter retinols. We've tried so many different great ones, obviously not prescription retinols, retinoids. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, I want to see how this product will work on sensitive skin. She'll volunteer and be like, hey, let me try that out. And we'll kind of see together how this works on different skin types. Because I have, like most people, combination skin, like a super resilient T-zone, super resilient. And then some sensitive areas that I test things on too. But it really helps give me a good idea of how different skin types interact with different products. So also I've been building my Shop My Shelf, which I don't know if most of you probably have explored everyone's Shop My Shelves. This is a really fun thing. I held out for a long time doing this. I'm just putting it together now. Mine's only been put together for a few weeks. But the thing I love about it, one, it consolidates all of my favorite products, but it actually helps me consolidate all of my spreadsheets. I have spreadsheet upon spreadsheet upon spreadsheet upon pages and pages of pages. Like, for example, okay, I'm not going to do it. I was going to lift up my computer and flip it around so you could see. I have like a 94-page document I created just with like bookmarked studies and things like that. It's open at all times. It's like my own personal reference book. But anyway, so Shop My Shelf, and I'm building out this sensitive skin shelf, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. I think it's super fun. Anyway, so some ground rules for sensitive skin. I talked about why it occurs, two different ways, at least in particular. With people with sensitive skin, I think this is like a subset of individuals and skin types where fragrance is just best avoided. And I don't say that in general. I think fragrance, we know it adds nothing to skincare except for the experience, but I totally validate that some people like fragrance. I like things that smell good. Generally, people like things that also smell good. And so if you're a person who likes fragrance, there's ways that you can use it deliberately. Fragrance mix, in my opinion, is inferior to fragrant ingredients because a fragrance mix is a blend that we don't really know what's in it. Whereas you have things like citrus or grapefruit. Apple is in a ton of products lately. People are loving this apple thing in products. And it's more easy to identify if you're having a problem with these ingredients than it is, like, I think, a fragrance mix, and it's more easy to avoid something like grapefruit if you know you're allergic to grapefruit, for example. So I like it when fragrant ingredients are listed singly as opposed to a fragrance mix. I think they're also maybe perhaps less volatile, pure speculation there. But if you have super sensitive skin, atopic dermatitis, eczema, some types of rosacea, I think especially leave-on fragrance is totally best avoided altogether. So cleansers can be the most simple part of the skincare routine. You generally do not need to spend a lot of money. And then when you move past that, you start getting into cleansers with active ingredients in them as well. And that's where it gets tricky. So overall, with sensitive skin, being minimalistic is like the foundation, the cornerstone. There are two ways to say it, but it's one of the key components of a sensitive skincare routine is being very minimalistic and deliberate about each thing you choose. Everything you're using should have a role, because if not, you're just going to end up with a ton of ingredients that either are not doing anything and are potential irritants or allergens. So some basic cleansers altogether, you avoiding things like fragrance, avoiding things like salicylic acid if you don't need salicylic acid in your cleanser, because salicylic acid is everywhere. And no one's rushing out to buy benzoyl peroxide cleansers just because it's not like a sneaky ingredient, but if you don't need it, you don't need it. And then also even foaming cleansers, they can be a little irritating. The sodium lauryl sulfate, I know, can be a problem for some people. There are probably hundreds of potentially irritating ingredients. So these are just a couple of things to be hyper aware of. There are a couple really great cleansers, and I'm not sure if I'm going to open up my Shop My Shelf yet because I want to play around with it for a while more. But the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser is a great one. It's just kind of one of those prototypical simple cleansers. CeraVe has done a great job, I think, of putting together a reliable, pretty simplistic skincare brand. It's good for sensitive skin. And then Vanicream, also same kind of brand profile. This one is very, very, very basic, very simple. Not basic like alkaline, but just a very simple and basic cleanser. Nothing flashy about it. And it's a great, simple option. And then I've been obsessed with this cleanser for like, oh gosh, late summer, maybe midsummer, but the MD Solar Sciences cleanser. This is super, super hydrating to me. It has multiple hydrating good skin oils in it that kind of leave like a slight moisturizing residue on the skin. It's not like sticky, but you can just feel left a little hydration behind after you use it. It also has some green tea extracts in it as well. I've personally just been using this as one of my go-tos here. I play with cleansers a lot. I put a lot of sunscreen on, wash a lot of it off, and that's where I play with my cleansers. So after cleansing, some people would play with toners or exfoliants. Exfoliating, in my opinion, is a not necessary step. It doesn't have to be a part of everyone's skincare routine, but I think it definitely has tremendous upside. But for someone with sensitive skin, this may not be for you. It disrupts the skin barrier, and I was talking to someone about their disrupted skin barrier experience this week, and it can really set you back. If you really mess up your skin barrier, you may not be using actives of any sort for a couple of weeks until that thing repairs. So treating your skin gently, maybe not exfoliating at all if you have some gentle, sensitive skin is probably something that's important. If you do really want to try to exfoliate using some of the more gentle exfoliators like of the alpha hydroxy acid, lactic acid is weaker than glycolic acid. It has a little bit of moisturizing property as well. So that's when you can try out. Dermatology has a lactic acid exfoliating lotion that is pretty good. It's a lightweight moisturizer, but if you would use it, you'd use it more for like the combination of lightly moisturizing vehicle and the lactic acid in it. Fruit enzyme, like enzyme extracts, which I know these pads have a little bit in them. These pads are not for sensitive skin, but they do have some of those plant-based, fruit-based exfoliating enzymes in them as well. And then the PHA, so the polyhydroxy acids. And the polyhydroxy acids, I think the Inky list has like a very dedicated polyhydroxy acid. There needs to be more products with these, actually, but in my opinion. It's hard to find a dedicated PHA product. There are a lot where they're mixed with alpha hydroxy acids, but I'd like to see more, and I'm going to keep my eye out for more of them. So if you exfoliate, those are the exfoliators to go with. Otherwise, leave it off altogether. And then after exfoliating, sometimes actives. This is like a big category because it's so highly tailored to everybody's specific needs and skin types. Here, it's very important to be minimalistic, like be super picky about what you're using so you don't irritate unnecessarily or use ingredients that really don't have a place for you. One of the biggest problems in this space is retinoids. So many upsides, but irritation is so common. And they do so much, it's actually really hard to replace them. And so I will caveat it with this. In the real world, I see probably 30 unique person encounters of people who are using retinoids throughout the week. And a lot of that I do ask, how are you tolerating it? How are you using it? And I would venture a very good proportion of those people have no problems. Obviously, they probably don't have sensitive skin, but sometimes I feel like we talk about how irritating retinoids can be. We do it deliberately because that's really the major limiting factor. But some people tolerate retinoids just fine. But if you have sensitive skin and you don't, then we're on a hunt for alternatives. Again, like I said, my wife just cannot tolerate retinoids at all, in any form, shape, mixed with moisturizer, sandwich, nothing. So an alternative here would be like retinoids. Bakuchiol, sorry. Bakuchiol is not an ingredient that replaces retinoids, in my opinion. Like if you could use both, I would use retinoids every time. But it is an ingredient with a very interesting profile that might be similar and have similar benefits to retinoids. I don't think it replaces it for acne regimens. Here I'm talking more about like specifically anti-aging or decreasing that photoaging process. There are a lot of different options and a lot of them are super expensive. But some of the ones that I do like, this Biossance one is a little bit more expensive. I think it's like $77. It's their phytoretinol serum. It does have some other things that could be problematic for some people. I think it has a form of citrus in it, and linalool or lanolin, limonene. Sorry, but you always have to be super aware of these things. But it has had in it. Then there is Allies of Skin has a very expensive bakuchiol product, but it's very nice. Like if you want to splurge, I would check that one out. I'm also going to put that in my shelf just because I really like the composition of that. And then there is a $10 one that I found by Bye Beauty, BYBI. And I love this one because I was looking at this and I was like, wow, $10 is pretty nice. Let's look at the ingredients list. 2 ingredients, bakuchiol and squalane oil. And I love squalane oil. This is like no secret at this point. So I'm like, this is a nice starter bakuchiol product if you really wanted to try it out. And then also moving on from retinoids, are just a myriad of other ingredients, but I'll probably skip forward to moisturizers so we can get to the questions. Moisturizing, just be aware, lotions in my mind are terrible unless they have a ton of extra hydrating ingredients for the body, especially in the winter. I love creams and ointments for the body. Lotions, I do like lotions for face. I use lotions mostly throughout the year for my face unless it's winter. When I'm surfing, I've surfed less this year because I've been sick almost continuously, but when I'm surfing in the winter, my skin just it's torn up with wind chafe. I mean, I'm usually out there when it's 20 degrees, so I'll put some thick ointments on my face, some thick creams on my face. But keep this simple. This is like a very important point because it's a leave-on product. You're putting a large volume over it on a large surface area. So I think very simple moisturizers is key for someone with very sensitive skin. Vaseline, of course, locks in 99% of water, super effective. One of my continual empties, every time I get it, I use it up. The Lip Car Balm AP Plus cream, not lotion. These are 2 excellent ones. CeraVe, again, simple, but it has ceramides. A lot of products have ceramides now, but CeraVe is reliable. I do like this one too, La Roche-Posay Double Repair Facial Moisturizer. Really nice one too. But anyway, just keep your moisturizer simple, keep them effective, and that's going to be doing a lot of work. Okay. Now let me hop over, interact with you all, which I'd greatly love. This one I've got to keep tight. I've got to keep it like right at 55 minutes because lately when I've been heading to the office in between, there have been a lot of accidents and it's been tough to get there on time. So let me hop through these and let's see where we had. I saw one. Let's see. Where was... Well, let's hear from Cato. Dr. Maxfield, you seem tired. Have you been sick? I have been sick. Almost. I've probably been well, maybe like it's not a big deal, like certain different things, whatever. A lot of different colds too. But it's hard for me to keep up with stuff. And I am tired. I'm always tired. I get up very early. I don't sleep enough. Maybe one day that'll change, but I love it. I actually love my life pace right now. So that's okay. Let's see here. Let's see here. What was that other comment? Sorry, I saw something I wanted to say. Something about, well, let's just go back. Someone else had asked if this video will be available on live stream or will be available after record. Yes, I think it auto uploads it, and then I'll try to go back timestamp it later. Since I'm headed to the clinic right after, I'll timestamp it later. But okay, let's get started. So Betty Rose, please talk about glycolic acid. My doctor prescribed it to me and I'm afraid to use it. I work in a sunny environment. What should I do? So the premise here is glycolic acid. What does it do? It does a ton for the skin. It is an exfoliator. It's not the concentrations over the counter. It's not a peel. It's an exfoliator. It removes some of the superficial layers of the skin. It actually helps signal an increase in collagen growth deeper into the skin, even though it does not actually reach it at these over-the-counter concentrations. It's very effective. I actually love it as an exfoliator because I think the upside is tremendous for photo aging in particular. It can be used for acne and cleansers as well. The downside is with this and other alpha hydroxy acids, it causes sun sensitivity. So I mean, it's going to be different for every single person. And this is where SPF, again, becomes extremely important. And we see this with a lot of different medications. Doxycycline for acne is another ingredient that causes sun sensitivity, where sunscreen becomes eminently important. So for a person who's using glycolic acid, I think it's good to do a test spot if you have sensitive skin or if you're unsure of your environment and if it's suitable for using the ingredient. And you can either do it on maybe the back of your arm or just one location on the face, and then use your sunscreen over it towards the end of your skincare regimen like you would normally and see how that goes for a week or two. And if that goes well, then you can kind of step into it wholeheartedly, utilizing the glycolic acid and then making sure you're using plenty of sun protection. And if possible, avoid direct sunlight. I mean, this is one of those situations where becoming hyper aware of the sun is actually going to be really important. And I'm not a sun fearmonger either. I love being outside. I couldn't possibly say that anyone should live their life inside I think you, again, have to be deliberate, have to be cautious, know your own risks, and be very deliberate with your sunscreen use. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is Lori Wicker. Hi, Dr. Maxwell. I'll be 60 this month. Congratulations. I think my skin is somewhat dehydrated. Please help. So this is a topic I argue with. I don't remember if we've ever put this out there, but I've argued with Dr. Shaw on this a few times and some other colleagues about the role of water intake and dehydrated skin. And here's why. So yes, our skin relies on our overall hydration level. Our skin being dehydrated, I think, does actually have a little bit of appearance to it. I almost feel like we overemphasize that sometimes, though. Like, oh, that we did put it out there. Drinking water is touted almost as a cure-all sometimes, and that drives me nuts. But you do, of course, have to maintain an adequate level of hydration, not overhydration, but a normal level of hydration to help your skin as much as you'd help any other part of your body. It will not fix everything, though. Because our body is tightly regulated. Our kidneys are very tightly regulated, and they control not only the water content in the body by reabsorbing free water, getting rid of different solutes, electrolytes, but they also help regulate toxins. They do so much. So they're doing a lot of work quietly and invisibly. And so things that you can do to help hydrate the skin are to apply moisturizers on damp skin. One thing I think I've noticed too, that's a part of photo aging as we progress in years, is that because we don't shed our stratum corneum and skin cells don't turn over as readily as when we were younger. Although I'm not like a huge exfoliator, I think it actually plays even more of a role as we get older in life because it makes more sense. One, it's going to help stimulate skin cell turnover more quickly, and two, it's going to help shed some of the skin cells on the top layer that you're not as effectively shedding either. I think sometimes people perceive dull skin, kind of like that lusterless skin as dry skin. And if it really is dry skin, then again, damp moisturizers, if you use a hyaluronic acid, you have to occlude it with a humectant. You have to occlude the humectant with an emollient or occlusive. So this is where I love, again, the heavy creams, again, on the HA or on the damp skin directly. And I think that goes a long way. I felt recently I was making a video where I was putting on multiple different products, and I was like, shoot, I think I've underappreciated how far a good moisturizer goes in making your skin appear healthy. I think it actually goes a very long way, and I've not fully appreciated that. So that's my thought, I think, on hydration of your skin as you get older. Water plays a role. I think your products have an equally significant role because your kidneys take care of your body. Okay, so from Sayed how to get rid of blackheads and whiteheads. So both are a form or a part of acne, let's say, and the blackheads are, sorry, Dr. Shaw texted me and threw me off my train of thought. So I think I was talking about blackheads. Blackheads are open comedones. So like the pores are open to the skin, the dead skin cells in it oxidize and turn it black. White comedones are closed areas of skin where pockets of a little bit of pus and dead neutrophils have filled up. And actually some things work better for others. For example, this mask. So LED lights have a role in decreasing inflammatory components of acne and can help the whiteheads. They actually do not help blackheads, whereas other ingredients like retinoids, of course, would help both. So you can treat the blackheads a little bit more distinctly. Skin cell turnover is very important for helping the blackheads decrease, not only in appearance, but also decreasing the ones that are there. So of course, I love retinoids for this. They exfoliate the skin. They actually treat most, if not all, the underlying causes of usually the associated acne, or they'll just target the oil production in like blackheads in people with oily skin. There are conditions out there like Rosacea, where it's chronic sun damage or even smoking causes a tremendous amount of blackheads, especially on the face and the back of the neck or areas of chronic sun damage. And those respond a little differently. But for most people, exfoliators and things like retinoids are going to be doing the bulk of the work. The thing with them too is extracting them is extremely satisfying for some people, both the person doing it, not me, but also for the person getting it done, because you get immediate results, which is really gratifying. But there's always a problem that unless you address the underlying cause, they come back. So Retinoids are great here. Glycolic acid is actually pretty good here too for the skin cell turnover. Niacinamide helps address some of the underlying problems. And then for the whiteheads, you're targeting more of like inflammation. Of course, retinoids here too can be very helpful for treating the underlying cause. And then here, depending on the cause, because you get these with rosacea as well, sulfur is an unsung hero ingredient. Niacinamide, of course, because it does everything, could help a little bit here, but really targeting both the bacteria, inflammation, and then acne, if that's the root of the cause, can be paramount. Or if you have a device like a light mask, you could use that too. From Selenophilic Lovesy, how can I start skincare? And this is a really good question, because I know that the people, especially the people who've been following us for a long time, I mean, you are so knowledgeable. You are so invested in this, and I just appreciate everything that you bring to the table too. But there are also so many people across all ages who are really kind of just starting to want to take care of their skin, whether it's because of something they saw, something they met, or they're entering a new stage of life. There are a lot of entry-level people into the skincare world. And the basics here, and I think Dr. Shaw was one of the pioneers in outlining this, is just keep it simple and cleanse, treat, protect. So crediting Dr. Shaw with that cleanse, treat, protect, in that find a good cleanser. This can be simple and gentle for most people. Identifying your skin problems, is it acne, hyperpigmentation, photoaging, like the hyperpigmentation, wrinkles. Figure out what your actual goals are, and then do some homework and find out which ingredients are going to cater to your goals. Also, don't follow anyone else's routine. Everyone's skin is different. Everyone has a different piecemeal list of priorities and goals, and really need to be deliberate at tailoring what you're going to invest your time in and your money in, so that your actives can help carry you towards whatever goals you decide are important to you. And then the last thing is going to be protect. So here's your moisturizer, lock it in. For me, it's lotions only have a home for the face, unless a few exceptions for the body, but generally have a home on the face. And then creams and ointments, just much better moisturizers, and those are for the body. And then lastly is your SPF. We've been very consistent. Just the SPF you like is the one that's best for you, because it has to cater to your skincare goals. It has to cater to your actual skin type. And everyone has such different preferences with the way they feel, the way they blend. Does it mix with makeup? Tinted? Are you looking to treat hyperpigmentation? So that's kind of just, I think, the basic outline for starting a skincare routine. And I hope you don't lose yourself in this along the way. It can be extremely involved, and also don't be discouraged. Make sure you're aware that everything with skincare takes time. Trying to think if there's any exceptions, but virtually everything is going to take quite a bit of time. So don't be discouraged and give up on an ingredient if you don't see the results within a day, 2 days, or even a couple of weeks. Yeah. So Allison put up Mandelic acid, a great AHA for sensitive skin, like that. Let's see here. Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay, so Faith put up a question. Hello, if you lose pigment on your eyelids, what does that mean? So I've brought this up a couple of times. I think one of the most beautiful skill sets that actually going to a doctor and dermatologist has is the actual diagnosis part. The diagnosis is so underappreciated, especially on social media. Everyone kind of takes for granted they know what's going on. But oftentimes everything is built off the diagnosis. So multiple causes for lightening areas of the skin. For the eyelids, it's uncommon to just have isolated pigment loss, especially on both eyelids, if that's what's going on. And so I think my mind goes to something like an irritant contact, allergic contact, something where there's been inflammation and then causes post-inflammatory hypopigmentation. We do see lightening of the eyelids with vitiligo as well, which is where an autoimmune condition where your immune system or a person's immune system attacks the pigment-making cells. If a young person has lightening areas, especially on the face, eyelids not excluded. Pityriasis alba, which is like a dry skin, light inflammation, cause of loss of some pigment as well. You can get other things there too, but here, when you have something like this, the diagnosis is actually going to be extremely important because you're going to treat it all differently. So I couldn't theorize on what would be a specific treatment for this. There are some caveats and things about this though too. Eyelids are so sensitive. So whatever the cause ends up being, just be aware that the treatment is going to be tailored for a very sensitive area, and whoever you're working with, I'm sure, is already going to be aware of that. So Ronnie Anderson, so what is your opinion on growth factors? So I saw this, and I saw another question about DNA repair enzymes. Here's been the crux about these, the growth factors first. We'll start there. So growth factors, the logic is there, the physiology is there. There are some studies to substantiate it. And then there's also been this theoretical downside of what if you use growth factors on skin that has either precancerous or cancerous cells. And I think to date, that's still been theory. I've not updated myself on this topic in a couple of months, probably a few months at this point. So I don't want to deep dive into it. But I think that it's actually reasonable to consider them potentially useful when you're talking about trying to help some of these substances in your skin grow. The theorized downside of causing some of these precancerous or dangerous cells grow might be legitimate. I'm not particularly worried about it at this time, but I do need to look more into that. So I don't have a strong opinion, but don't have a strong opinion. Someone let me know there's a problem with the audio. Don't have a strong opinion on it. Let's see. Shoot. One moment. Let's see what we can do about the audio. Okay. All right. Let's see if this works. Okay. Thank you all for the feedback on the audio. Let's see. There were a couple of things about this. Okay. So Amar Habib asked talk about azelaic acid cream. Azelaic acid is another one of those ingredients where it's like underrated, and then I feel like it's overhyped and underrated. It actually does quite a bit. So this is a compound that's actually can be produced by the yeast that lives on our skin. Threw up a little video on something about tinea versicolor, pityriasis versicolor, where the yeast that lives on our skin causes inflammation, and in part through this enzyme can cause light spots on the skin. The way we've actually utilized this ingredient is that by just taking out this ingredient alone, it can help with hyperpigmentation. It helps with acne. It's been shown to be safe in pregnancy. And it can help kill bacteria. It has a lot of upside. And prescription, all the studies have been done at like 15+%. Over the counter, I think we have it limited cap, maybe at 10%. This is one of those ingredients I do actually switch between. So they're sometimes it's just very hard to get prescription ingredients in patients' hands. And so some of the over-the-counter products I do utilize. Paul's Choice has an azelaic acid, and it can be a tremendous benefit for the right person. It can also be irritating, like anything for acne and hyperpigmentation, it seems. But it can be a great ingredient. And we don't really know if the 10% versus the 15% is like if there's a big difference. We just don't have enough data on that. So Leandra, I hope I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Why do mineral sunscreens make my face feel dry and give me dry patches? So sunscreens are so dynamic, and mineral sunscreens, what they're mentioning is the zinc oxide, titanium dioxide. I'm not entirely sure why they would dry out your skin. It might be very dependent on the sunscreen itself. We use zinc oxide actually in another role. We can use it in Desinide or like butt paste. So if you ever look at a bottle of Boudreaux's butt paste, if you have kids or something, and look at the ingredients, it's primarily zinc oxide. It actually makes a great barrier, not only to protect irritating other things out, but it can help lock things in. So I think sometimes with these mineral sunscreens, the supporting role plays a huge part in how your skin tolerates it. I was looking around because I have another one here. There goes my light. The Elta MD line, Elta MD UV Restore, is like a great light hydrating, light moisturizing, pure mineral sunscreen. As CeraVe, they have a 30 SPF. I'm looking at it right now. That's tinted, and it is pretty darn good too. It's a lot heavier and thicker than the Ulta MD line, but for what it is, it's pretty good. It is still a little thicker than I think some people would like for an everyday one. But also look for sunscreens. A lot of them have other ingredients in them that can be moisturizing. A few have niacinamides, so things like that. Whoops. Okay, so repeated barrier damage recommendations. No name. So I was talking to someone else about their skin barrier. They had an experience last week. They had like a light procedure, and what they had is just tremendous amount of redness, irritation, broken skin barrier, much more to the extent than they thought they were going to have. And sometimes when we do lasers, I mean, we deliberately are damaging the skin barrier to give it a chance to heal and tighten and build new collagen. So there are a few simple things. So let's say your skin barrier is just destroyed. You have used too high a strength of retinoid off the bat, used it too frequently, or you had a procedure that was much more aggressive than you had hoped for or planned on. I think just taking a step back and letting the skin reset and heal is one of the most important and first parts of that. So taking a look at your actives, it's okay to pause some things, especially if you're in the photo aging or anti-aging space. And losing a week or two of your retinoid is not going to make a difference in the lifelong use or how your skin is going to look 20 years down the road. It's okay to pause. So I think pausing some of the potential irritating ingredients until that skin barrier becomes more intact is actually going to be very important. And then using things that are very bland and hydrating. So Vaseline, I've already said, extremely good for locking in moisture, but it's also extremely good for wound healing. So we use it post-operatively, post-surgically, after we do whatever repair, simple procedures or extensive facial repairs after skin cancers. And it's extremely good at helping prevent secondary infection, helping lock in all of your own natural growth factors and helping things heal. And then to help inhibit any scarring, if you know you're going to have a scar, a silicone-based scar gel is actually the best way to do it. But I'd say take a step back, reanalyze everything, pause anything in your skincare routine that can be irritating if at all possible, and then just let that skin barrier repair and heal, and then go from there. Let's see here. Oh, this isn't it. So Mark Linden Odious, is salicylic acid from a cleanser, will it help with hyperpigmentation? So there are studies with salicylic acid. It alone does not play a really significant role with hyperpigmentation, but salicylic acid is additive when combined with retinoids. So salicylic acid, it helps boost the anti-hyperpigmentation effect from retinoids. So no, salicylic acid in a cleanser is not going to be strong enough for now, or strong enough on its own for hyperpigmentation, especially in a cleanser, but it can help retinoids and their effects on hyperpigmentation. Sarah Ortiz, what do you use on windburn? So windburn, if you've never experienced it, I don't know, I'm from Colorado originally, and so cold weather and windy weather was pretty commonplace during the winter. And then now it still dips down to the 20 degrees here on the coast, and I'm still out surfing in it. So I experience this quite frequently. I think when I consider windburn, I think of it two ways. One is prevention. So before I actually, let's say it's sunrise, Saturday morning sunrise, Sunday morning sunrise, and I'm going to step out and go surfing. It's like 5 a.m., no sun out. I am going to put on a thick layer of Vaseline as chapstick. I'm going to moisturize my skin heavily with Vaseline or a very thick ointment before I even leave, and then sunscreen over the top of that. And I'm trying to, even though I know that this is going to be washed off, rinsed off, blown off, beaten down, I'm trying to give my skin a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of an extra barrier before it engages against the environment. And then secondly, let's say that doesn't work and I'm now chapped, windburned, and my skin is red, irritated, dry. And then again, you're going to have to reassess what actives you're using. But really, the bulk of the work is going to be done by your soothing ingredients and your hydrating ingredients and your moisturizers. Here's another question. Anna Sousa Belshire, I need a skincare routine for breastfeeding. Help me. This is tough, and it comes up every live, and absolutely reasonably so, because with pregnancy, we just don't do a lot of studies on pregnant women, which is, of course, reasonable. But what it does, it leaves us with a dearth of data, and we act out of an abundance of caution. So a lot of recommendations come from, well, could it be safe in pregnancy? Maybe. Is it safe in pregnancy or breastfeeding? Don't know, because no one studied it. And If you want to hop over to my Instagram, there is a long form video I made just talking about recommendations of different ingredients and some of the studies behind different ingredients in pregnancy. And a lot of it can be extrapolated to breastfeeding as well. And I also linked on that same post the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology and the AAD's recommendations on it. So in general, though, you're going to end up substituting things like retinoids for bakuchiol or peptides. By the way, bakuchiol not extensively studied in pregnancy is just probably safe, and I think it is probably safe. And you're going to maybe sub out. Well, you can keep your vitamin C, niacinamide, because these are things that are not only ingest, but they're created and found in the environment. And then you can also, and then the cleansers thing is actually an interesting controversy. So not only with benzoyl peroxide, but salicylic acid, that could be a topic on its own. But I do have not only the links there, but the data, ACOG, the Obstetrics and Gynecology, and then also AAD have proposed they might probably be safe. But it's really like a highly individualized thing. It's up to you, you're a doctor, and y'all kind of hash that out. Let's see here from AD. What are your thoughts on mixing resveratrol with retinol? So resveratrol is a super strong antioxidant from grapes. And I'm smiling because I still need to and want to talk about antioxidants so bad. I've done a lot of the back end research just confirming what I already knew, just so I have enough data to substantiate everything. Antioxidants are a great complement to retinoids. I love it as a complementing ingredient. I love antioxidants as a complementing ingredient. That's actually kind of nice. I don't think I've ever said that before. My problem with antioxidants, I feel like people go overboard with them and they treat them as like another one of those things that cures everything sometimes, especially when you get into, for a while there in the celebrity space. And I say it every time, but I was watching these people's skincare routines and it was just antioxidants, like the whole routine. It's like, this is too much. But I do love resveratrol. It's a tremendous antioxidant. It complements other antioxidants well, and it complements other ingredients like retinoids or retinol that prevent photoaging. The only thing it does not complement well is this. We did that video on the hypochlorous acid, which is still an incredibly gentle cleansing ingredient, which is why I have it up here. It's great for sensitive skin, but that would kind of negate your antioxidant. All right, let's see. Okay, so melted snowman. This just makes me think of Olaf, but melted snowman can use niacinamide while on Accutane. So Accutane is that systemic isotretinoin, the systemic vitamin A, highly, highly effective for acne. Accutane skincare regimens really revolve around what else you have going on other than acne. So if you don't know, when you start Accutane, generally you can tell people to stop every other thing they've been doing for acne, because the Accutane, especially given a few months, is enough to solo the condition and eventually, in a good proportion of people, cure it so it doesn't recur. Not everybody, but a good portion of them. And so when you're adding other things to your skincare routine with Accutane, you have to, one, always be aware your skin is very, very dry, very, very sensitive. So niacinamide is one of those ingredients that kind of splits people. In the studies, and we know it can be true, it can be soothing and it can have a ton of benefits. Conversely, in the real world, and I think from a lot of people's experience, it can be irritating. And we know, especially once you get to levels closer to 20%, it can be very irritating. So if you find a nice 4%, 5% niacinamide, that would be my choice for someone on Accutane. But then it goes back to, what are you using it for? If it's for the acne, you may not need it. If it's for photoaging and anti-aging, then it's a decent ingredient there. But I would go with the lower concentration. Okay. So Tuha, I have a hair falling problem because of fungus. What should I do? Please answer my question. So hair loss has many causes. We all think of the hormone-related hair loss. I think every time we all hear hair loss at first, but there are also autoimmune causes. There are just straight up inflammatory causes like dissecting cellulitis of the scalp, or things in that same family. And then there are actually other causes like infections. So severe or prolonged fungal infections, tinea capitis, can cause hair loss. And of course, the first thing to do would be to treat the underlying problem. And the reason is that it's the inflammation generally from the infection that is causing significant hair loss. Some fungus actually invades the hair shaft. We call them endothrix, and they can cause breaking of the hair shaft itself. But it's largely the inflammation down in the scalp that leads to some of the more severe hair loss. And the problem is if it scars, if that inflammation and infection is left alone for too long, the scar is permanent and then a loss of hair in that area is permanent. So if a person is experiencing hair loss, especially if it's red and inflamed or there's any question, I think it's very valuable to see a dermatologist to make sure that it's not one of these inflammatory causes. Because if you miss the boat on treating those, you've missed the boat. And once it scars, a scar is permanent. So if it is truly from a fungus, the most important thing is to treat the fungus. It may require an oral or systemic antifungal, but there's that. Okay, from Chantel. Does liquid collagen make a difference, or is it a new scam? So I am preparing this whole supplements and collagen. I'm going to lump into the supplements category. This, what do you call it? Not chapter. This whole supplements season. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to create a whole series of videos just related to different supplements. And I think it was actually my last live, which is a month ago at this point. Like I said, I've been sick continuously. Someone had asked a question about my favorite supplements, and I was rewatching it, timestamping it, and I was like, I wasn't satisfied with my answer. So I'm sorry to that person. I wasn't satisfied with the answer because I don't have like a favorite supplement. I am now a self-admitted supplement skeptic because of the status of our nutritional state within the society. Not that supplements aren't helpful, not that supplements aren't helpful for some people, not that the data is not there, but they don't make a lot of sense in my mind for most people. And I think because there's the one simple point, supplement something we're lacking in the diet. Specifically in the Western world or in like developed nations or whatever, high income societies, whatever you want to call them, there is an abundance of nutrients, especially like meats and things like that we've never seen in the history of the world. And so the way that collagen is absorbed and broken down mimics and kind of boils down to the same building blocks as eating either a complementary plant-based diet or eating meats. I don't care if you're eating red meat, fish, the combination of rice and beans, or your collagen supplement, your body, in my opinion, is going to be treating it very similarly. It goes and is absorbed into the same building blocks that your body can use. The data, however, is actually very compelling on collagen supplements, which is why I always look into this. I feel like every 2 months I'm doing another deep dive on this to see what else is coming out. So I think they are fairly safe, if not entirely safe to consume. I think there is data to support their use. I think it's very illogical to support their use for everybody. And I think they overpromise. I think their role in hydration might be better than their role in other things. And perhaps their role, I'll leave it there. Their role in skin hydration might be better than other things. But I do think they overpromise. I don't think they're for everyone, but they are compelling and they're probably safe. So I don't know. I don't love them. I don't take them. But it's probably worth a try. I've definitely had other people in my life say that they're doing wonders for them, but I always take it with a grain of salt. And here's why. So like the power of anecdote is, I'm telling you, if someone tells you this worked for me, it's very powerful. You know the person, you're attached to them, they're trustworthy. The problem is a lot of things either work for one person or it's just by chance, and it doesn't work for the general population. But then the converse is true. Let's say even Accutane doesn't work for everybody. Very highly effective ingredient, doesn't work for everybody. So you always have to take that into consideration as well. Okay. Mar Habib, salicylic acid on blackheads, whiteheads, cleaning pores, please. Not sure I understand the thrust of that, but I do agree that salicylic acid is a good ingredient for blackheads because it's lipophilic, it's absorbed into oil, helps oil get rinsed off. And it's good for whiteheads as well because it helps exfoliate, helps turn them over more quickly. Salicylic acid washes, actually, I prefer salicylic acid in a cleanser than I do leave-on products, but some of the leave-on products are very good. The Ordinary, in case you've missed it, has come out with their anhydrous one, I think it was a couple months ago, which was a squalane-based salicylic acid leave-on product, really good for people with acne and sensitive skin. And then they have re-released their aqueous salicylic acid, just of course super affordable, very straightforward salicylic acid in a water with some sort of saccharide to help as well. But I do like it best as a cleanser. It does have a role as a leave-on too. Okay, Diamond B. So what helps under eye bags? This is so tough. Under eye bags are very difficult because they involve multiple things, and a lot of them are very heavily structural. Like as we age, the bones actually deteriorate a little bit, and they sink and become more leave you with very hollow areas. The fat pads under your eyes migrate down. The tendons all loosen. There's a plastic surgeon, Prem is what I call him. I can't remember his full name, but I follow him, and I actually agree with his take on this. So I like some eye creams. I like certain ingredients here, but none of them are going to duplicate the effects of procedures for eye bags in particular. Just like with hair loss, a lot of things can't live up to the procedure of hair restoration. That's not for everybody. Not everybody wants procedures. Not everyone can afford them. Not everybody just wants that level of invasiveness. But I just have to always caveat things, especially eye bags. These don't respond tremendously to topicals, but they could be helped with things that increase collagen growth, like retinoids, tighten the skin. You generally don't want to exfoliate that area. It's just too sensitive, especially as you get over this bony arch here. And I know there's vitamin K serums. They would help more dark spots, not necessarily that at all. Forget what I just said. Vitamin K doesn't help with the bags in particular. There is that product. It's the one everyone lost their minds on TikTok. It's that, but we talked about it on YouTube. I can't remember if it was before or after. I think it was before. Yeah, long before that video came out, because there's an old product. It's not Plexus. That's the supplement thing I don't like. I'm sorry, I don't remember, but it's the one where it tightens. It's actually like a polymer and a resin or something like that, and it actually tightens the skin. It has tremendous effects for people with specific, very loose eye bags, and it's temporary, of course, but it's very effective. I'll throw the link down there at the bottom. I think it kind of faded in. I bet the company made a lot of money when the video went viral, and then it's faded out because the previous competitor, it's not a new product, it's not a new ingredient. The previous ones I don't think had lasting success either. From Christva, do you like antioxidants in food? I love antioxidants in food. I think it's undervalued. Again, a whole reason why I'm so skeptical of supplements, especially ones, some of them tout high in antioxidant supplements. I'm like, yeah, that's great. What does your diet look like? Sorry, that was my watch. What does your diet look like? I love antioxidants in food. I love getting your amino acids in food. I love getting your collagen from your food. I think we forget about the things we actually consume in day-to-day life and how they affect us. And I do know that antioxidants taken orally complement the antioxidants we use topically. I also know that the vitamin C we consume orally plays a role in our skin health. I think there's a study, I have the link for it bookmarked, but it showed that taking vitamin C by mouth, if you have normal vitamin C levels in your serum, like you have normal vitamin C, normal to elevated vitamin C levels in your body, your topical vitamin C works less effectively. Well, that makes sense, right? Because you already have enough vitamin C for your skin to function normally and all the things vitamin C does. You can still see benefits from topical vitamin C, but it would work even more for someone who is lacking vitamin C in their diet. And it's only logical. But I think that way with most supplements and foods. So Texas Breeze. I'm running out of time. I have to do like 2 more, and then I'm going to have to go to the clinic here. So Texas Breeze is double cleansing, good for rosacea. So rosacea, I'm like so passionate about rosacea. Let's just talk about 2 types: red flushing vascular type and the oily type. So the erythromatophalangitic vascular type often coincides with very sensitive skin. The skin isn't necessarily dry, it's just like very irritated, inflamed, and sensitive. I do not think the double cleansing is for everyone, and I do not think the double cleansing is a good option for this skin type, unless you have a specific role in mind, like removing makeup or sunscreen. If not, just don't do it. You could even try to use micellar water to get rid of some of the makeup. I know a lot of people have good success with that. For the oil gland type, the phymatous type, it may make more sense. Some people with phymatous rosacea have a tremendous amount of oil production, to where they wake up in the morning, they can literally wipe grease or wipe that oil that's made up from our skin off of their face. So there, maybe it makes more sense as a double cleanser. Probably still not necessary for most people, even with that oil gland type. From RM, I love your hair, Dr. Maxwell. Thank you. In case you missed my Instagram video, I actually am very particular about my haircuts. I don't know. Sorry, the people who help style and cut my hair. I'm very particular about it. And I only learned how to cut and style my hair probably within the last 3 or 4 years. And maybe that's why, because I felt like I have old pictures. My hair was just literally a poof ball sitting on top of my head, or I actually had hair down to my shoulders when I was quite a bit younger in college. But yeah. Let's see. A couple more. Is PRP useful for acne scars, for specifically the more punched out kinds, like rolling ice pick, or for hyperpigmentation, radiofrequency with microneedling? So there's a lot there. PRP can be useful for acne scars. A lot of treatments that are procedural are going to be your best bets, including that. I think I would actually favor, depending on the type of scar, there's something called subcision, where let's say this is your punched out scar. How can you see it? Like this. And you actually make a little incision at the base and it helps release it. That is probably the most effective for acne scar. One of the more effective things for acne scars. It's not for everybody, but specific types respond really well to that. And then they also brought up radio frequency with microneedling. I do like that. I think it softens them. I've seen enough people, I think, at this point with microneedling for acne scars that I can say it doesn't like make them go away. It does soften them. It can be helpful. And radio frequency, I love the theory behind it. And I think it adds value. But the most effective are probably going to be, maybe I really do like the light again. I like the TCA Cross. If you've never seen a video on TCA Cross, it's where they put high concentrations of heavy peel into the dell of the acne scar. So it's like super concentrated, super focused. You have got to see someone with a lot of experience or a dermatologist for that, and they can very much help. That's probably my favorite treatment for those deeper acne scars. CO2 laser, I do that as well, and that can be helpful, but I would actually still favor probably the TCA Cross, specifically for acne scars. Video request cleansing balms. Yes, I will do that. I use cleansers all the time. That's one of the things I actually rotate through the most because of how often and how thick I wear my sunscreen, given my lifestyle. So I'm a big fan of different cleansing balms. I'll try to put something together. Okay, I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna have to run. I will caveat and throw it out here again. Just Dr. Shaw and I, we're gonna continue to put content out together. We're probably gonna make some sub channels here soon. Try to help us grow those, boost those, because we wanna be able to put more content out both together and even individually here moving forward, because eventually he is moving. So we want to just help bring everything to life, keep everything to life. And we're going to need your help to help grow those sub channels too. So you'll be seeing those soon, just so we can put more out there. And let's see, last question for the day. Okay. I feel like we talk about this often enough, but it's so important. I really want to make sure that this gets answered. So hydroquinone question, do you need to take breaks from over-the-counter 2% hydroquinone, which is no longer available here in the US, like the 4%, or would it be used continuously? I'd take a break. I would hands down say take a break. The hydroquinone is the gold standard for hyperpigmentation. It works incredibly well. It's the only thing I think that's truly touted as a bleaching cream and has an effect that is actually representative of the name. The problem, one of the real problems with it, there was a lot of fear around it, but one of the real problems about it is it can cause paradoxical hyperpigmentation called exogenous ochronosis. You can Google my last name and exogenous ochronosis, and actually wrote a paper about this really early in med school, just kind of exemplifying it. But it can cause dark spots, to really prominent pinpoint dark spots, to form where you've been using it. And it's highly associated with longer use. So that's one of the reasons we recommend using this as one of those burst down ingredients. We want to burst down the hyperpigmentation, transition to a regimen that's like good for long-term use. And two of these ingredients, which I just shot a little video from Instagram on this, Faded, which I saw Dr. Dre's video on that, very interesting take, and Versed Dark Spot Gel. I'm loving both of them. Versed Dark Spot Gel I love for my skin type. They're both really jam-packed with ingredients, complement things like retinoids and exfoliators really well. So that's what I have to say about that. I feel like I lost track of what I was saying. All right. Let's see. Anyway, I will go back and timestamp this. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for being I love doing this with you. I'm sorry I have not been able to be on regularly. Like I said, I kept getting sick over the last month, and I'm hoping that that will stop happening. But I'm going to get to work, and I will timestamp this, probably not within the afternoon, maybe in the evening or tomorrow morning, really early. But thank you so much for being a part of this. Like, I can't tell you how much I enjoy doing this with you and like interacting with you and just kind of being on this journey with you. I think both Dr. Shaw and I really, truly feel like we're part of just an awesome community of people. And we've met people through this. We've learned a lot through this. And we very genuinely are very thankful for this whole thing. So thank you very much. And I will see you soon. Don't know exactly when, hopefully 2 weeks from now, but life happens. And I will see y'all very soon.